Right.
That's where it started. It wasn't government.
So it was decentralizing, but that's not really what it turned into.
No, no. The idea was to empower individuals in their communities, groups of people, church groups, civic groups, other groups, to empower them to develop projects together that would help and get government out of the way. That was the idea of compassionate conservatism.
Right.
That's why it wasn't compassionate liberalism.
Right. You met with Bernays. Mm-hmm. He was in his 90s. You also have met with Jim Wallace.
Sure.
And you speak the same language. He's a Marxist. You're a former Marxist, so you speak the same language. Right. He is a guy who says, because again, the early progressives went right into the churches, and he's a guy who says, you know, I'm a hater, et cetera, and Jesus, the gospel is about Marxism. It is, his quote, absolutely about redistribution of wealth. Mm-hmm. When you spoke to him, does he believe that?
Oh, I think he does believe it. He says that social justice is a biblical concept, and it's not. If you read the Bible, justice is used in, well, there are basically three emphases there. Number one, justice is used together with righteousness. The two Hebrew words go together. That's number one, justice and righteousness. So these are God's laws. This isn't just some social justice thing that we invent, deciding this will be good for people. We try to look at the Bible and learn from that. That's number one.
So do you think, for instance, Van Jones was red, and through his redness he found green, mm-hmm. and green is the new red. And I don't think Van Jones really believes in the green movement, other than he believes that it is, in his words again, taking us from the old gray capitalism into a green capitalism, and it won't stop there, meaning red. So I don't think he really actually believes in whatever. Do you think that these guys really believe, or like you, convince themselves to believe because it's a vehicle, like the churches, it's a vehicle to get them down? Because there's no Marxist that is God-fearing. I mean, right. What Marxist believes in God? Did you?
I did not believe in God.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So you can't, because otherwise you'd have reason and enlightenment, and you'd say man should rule himself. Back in a minute.
Okay, it's 5 p.m. I gotta finish this conference call, I gotta walk the dog, I'm stuck on the train, need to make dinner. Did you pick up the kids from soccer practice yet? There's no time to watch this show now. Hey, it's okay. Just do what Glenn does. DVR it. Then, like Glenn, you can watch it late night on your couch with a scoop, well, actually a pint. Okay, a gallon of Grater's ice cream. Set your DVR for Glenn Beck, 5 p.m. every day.
We're back with Marvin Olasky. He's the editor-in-chief of World Magazine. He interviewed Bernays in 1984. He was a former communist and now believes man can rule himself. I want to talk to Joanne, who had, I think, almost my question.
My question, Glenn, was, if the only way to combat propaganda is through the truth, and we're not being taught the truth in school, and we're not being told the truth by the media or by our politicians, how do we expect to defeat propaganda?
I'm going to let Marvin answer that, and then I'll give you mine, because I have an answer, but I'd like to hear Marvin's.
Well, that's a great question, because it really is all about truth. And if we don't teach the truth, if we don't know the truth, then we're going to be slaves to whatever propagandist comes along and plays off our fears and makes us feel very afraid and thus ready to give him anything he wants. Who are we? We are people created to worship in some way.
Hey,
and if we don't worship God, we're going to worship the human gods created by people like Bernays.
Here, this is the message, and the founders were very clear that, hey, whatever you have to be a God-fearing and virtuous people, have to. And they were very clear on that. But that goes to the enlightenment part, and also reason. When Jefferson said, fix reason firmly in her seat and question the very existence of God, I have applied that to not just God, but everything. If you want to battle this, if you want to be able to rule yourself, you can't believe all those magazine covers. You can't be spoon-fed anything. That's why I always say on this program, Question me. Don't take my word for it. Go do the homework yourself. Each individual must know what is true. Each individual must know it for themselves, not because somebody else you trust told you that. It's the only way the system works. If you are enlightened and you know, hey, I can get the answer, I'm smart. That's why everybody in media always tries to make the Tea Party or anyone who disagrees with the elite stupid. Mm-hmm. You're stupid. No, you're not. Empower yourself. You're not stupid. Then educate yourself. Do I have time for one more question? Real quick? No, take a break. Right back.
Don't pay any attention to those crazy people on TV.
Don't hate me because I'm so sexy. Refreshing, isn't it?
Wrap your head in duct tape, because it's going to explode.
America, I'm going to shoot straight with you. We have some cockroaches to expose tonight. Rather tasty.
Oh, that's rich.
We're just getting started. We're talking about, can man rule himself? This should be the debate in America. Can man rule himself? If so, yes. If not, who rules him? What is the system? Marvin Olasky, he's the editor-in-chief of World Magazine. He interviewed Edward Bernays back in 1984. Jim Wallace, he was a former communist. He's seen it from the inside and believed it for a while and has a unique take on it. Let me go to Fern, who's from New York City. Hi, Fern. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Very good.
My question was, where are you seeing the greatest influence today of Bernays' teaching, of his propaganda?
Where's his greatest influence? I think Cass Sunstein. I mean, his greatest influence is, it's very strange because Bernays isn't necessarily, and I don't know if you'd agree with this, a bad man. And I don't know if any of these guys are bad men. They just believe you're stupid. And that's not what the founders did. So his greatest influence was in media. Everybody used him. You were at his house.
Sure.
When you brought anything up, what did he do?
Here's a fellow who's 92, still very intellectually sharp, and if I mentioned someone, just about anyone, he would run to a photo on the wall of that person and himself. And if I asked about something, he would dash to his file cabinet. He knew where everything was. He'd pull out a paper or something, an envelope, something from that person.
Do you remember the episode I did a couple of weeks ago where I said the 20th century, I think, is the big lie? His influence is so pervasive. It's in everything. And it's not necessarily bad, but it's in everything. It's why we have Christmas the way we do. It's why we have celebrities the way we do. It's why we have smoking the way we do. It's why the politicians, flip the flapjacks on the road and wear the hunting jackets. It's in everything. Where is he most dangerous today? I think he's most dangerous in all of these things if you're uneducated. If you're educated, you know it's a scam. You know. But you have to do that. Patrina, go ahead.
How do you deal with the sense of powerlessness and sadness at seeing, these people succeed in creating a different climate for the United States and pushing forth their agenda, and there's nothing you could do to hold it back?
There is. Let me answer that on the back. We have to take a break, and I want to answer that question when we come back. Before we went to break, Katrina asked the question, how do you deal with the sadness of seeing all this stuff happening and knowing that it's basically an out-of-control machine that you're not going to be able to stop? Believe it or not, before we went on the air, I kind of asked Marvin the same kind of question. Will we survive? Can it be undone? And he had exactly the same answer I do. Yes, it can be undone, but not in the conventional way. I've read enough about the founders. I know how it was put together, and we are no different than the founders. We just have to order them. We just have to put it all in order. We have to enlighten ourselves, educate ourselves, empower ourselves, and then be creators. That is the solution. And I know it sounds silly, but it's not about guns, it's not about politics, it's nothing else. It's that. And that's how we change the world. That's the way the founders did it. From New York, good night, America.